Welcome back. Thank you for staying with the broadcast. Castries Mayor Peterson Francis is once again under fire from the president of the St. Lucia Craft and Dry Goods Vendors Association, Peter Ras Isaac. This time around, Isaac is criticizing Francis for buckling under pressure from relocated vendors of the Castries market and removing the roadside vendors. Isaac says the mayor's excuse to carry out his works is hogwash. Rochelle Gonzalez reports.
The Castries mayor can't seem to catch a break. Well, at least not if president of the St. Lucia Craft and Dry Goods Association, Peter Ras Isaac, has anything to do with it. Mayor Peterson Francis is once again in the firing line after Isaac criticized him for the recent debacle involving evening produce vendors who plied their trade along Jeremy Street outside the Castries market. The vendors last week were near the point of rioting after city police were deployed to forcibly remove the vendors who refused to move. In his defense, Mayor Francis said the order to remove said vendors was not his wish. Instead, he was acting on the demands of the vendors who were relocated from the Castries market to the site of the old fire station. Speaking to Hot 7 News on Tuesday, Isaac called the excuse hogwash.
You are a person charged with the responsibility to run the place, and as you run it on your own. You're just making your decisions on your own. There is no board that is, where there is a city council board that you sit with and to make decisions. You're just making a decision unilaterally, and that's how you operate. So don't tell me now that all of a sudden a few vendors that you decided to put them in that area there, and now they will decide to tell you now they have made a decision that you should take out people there. This is hogwash. Obviously, this cannot be something that that I should understand, and anyone should.
When asked if the mayor would have been better off ignoring the plight of the 100-plus vendors, Isaac said the mayor should have taken this time to exercise his authority.
He didn't want to bring them there. They agitated and so on, but they are there, right? So if he makes up his mind and tell them, well, listen, these people are there and it's not affecting them, they would have to stay there. They wouldn't be able to just get them because they have spent money. They gave them money. In fact, if it's bribe, they bribe them with the $500. They have already taken the bribe. So I don't think it would change the price of coffee.
So you don't think it's a bit of a catch-22 like for the mayor, like he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't?
I don't think it's nothing like that. He has the habit of making this decision. It works for him. He always talks down at people. He take this decision unilaterally, and it works for him all the time. So it would work for him the same way.
On another note, Isaac said he suspects a larger plot is being enforced.
The reality about it is that who's going to actually benefit from this move there? Not these vendors who are down there, because when it's 4:30, 5 o'clock, these vendors are out of this area there. This area is almost an isolated area. There is no lighting and so on and so forth. So who's going to benefit there? Tell you the truth, it's the supermarkets. They are going to be the ones that is going to pick up the slack. That's the reality. And I don't know if there is a special move. Some people have some connection, and that's why this thing is happening. But I'm strongly thinking and believing that this is what's going on there. Because they have these kind of connections with people, they sell us out. They sell out the little people, for big business. And that could be some of the moves that are going on there.
As for the vendors who were left with no choice but to vacate the premises, Isaac said they are now scattered across the city. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Now, in what may seem like a never-ending feud between the mayor of Castries, Peterson Francis, and the Craft and Dry Goods Vendors Association, Peter Ras Isaac, the legitimacy of Isaac's presidency is being questioned. Last week, Mayor Francis was asked to respond to comments made by Isaac regarding his plans for the soon-to-be renovated Castries market. Indirectly refusing to answer the question, the mayor instead turned the microscope on Isaac himself.
I have said, and I have told reporters repeatedly, I want them to first ask Mr. Ras Isaac, is he the president of the Vendors Association? When I get a response to that, I respond to everything, all the queries you want. And so, but I want to know first if Mr. Ras Isaac is the president of the Vendors Association.
Not one to give the mayor the last word, Isaac responded to Mayor Francis on Tuesday, and he said by default the presidency is indeed legitimate.
As you know, Mr. Peterson Francis he vowed before that he will not have no discussions with the organization representing vendors. For a matter of fact, he's even questioning you know, the authority of the Vendors Association president, and if there's a president. I mean, the Vendors president was elected by the people. When the only time you're not the president is when there is an election and people vote you out. Apart from that, the president is the president. No matter what organization, if you have 90 days after the time is due or whatever amount of days that pass, unless you have an election, that person. I suspect he's afraid. He's questioning these things because of his own insecurity. Because you know, when you have these positions there, whenever there are elections are looming, your heart starts to beat a little faster. Because you know that whenever the government change, you definitely know your bread is hanging somewhere far, far, far in the hillside.
Elections for the Vendors Association are held biannually, and according to Isaac, the last elections were held about 2 years ago. He revealed that the next elections will be held on the 21st of July 2019. Reggae pop artist Showin Dupes Bryce has added his voice to the call made by Aaron Alexander to have more local reggae artists on the roster for the Roots and Soul Festival to be hosted in August. Showin is not only a national artist but also a producer who has branched out into different markets and genres. He says having opportunities on home soil is important for any artist. The same sentiment was expressed by Aaron Alexander.
We heard recently that the government appointed Mr. Bradley Felix to be the point person as far as the cabinet is concerned on the issue. And we also heard that he went to Calgary in Canada to attend the cannabis conference. And none of the Rastafari community was not even invited to form a delegation to go along with him, neither the cannabis movement. So all these things are red flags as far as I'm concerned as a Rastaman, because we don't want this thing to be pirated by people. You know, we don't want people to just come along and just jump on the bandwagon and we're not part of the consultation every step of the way. So it is my belief, and I believe rightly so, that the minister should have taken a member of the cannabis movement and a member of the Rastafari community to accompany him on such a journey.
Dupes is also championing the cause for national artists.
I love that Roots and Soul is happening. I definitely believe that there should be more locals being a part of everything that has to do with music, from jazz to classical to R&B. So let's just keep the flag flying whatever way we can.
However, he says no artist should look only to government to secure their future. He says there has to be a level of business savvy and self-motivation.
I think we should be eating bread every day. So, I mean, this is one period of time where there is a highlight on it. But my philosophy is that nothing's holding you back from making music anymore, and I don't wait for the government, or I don't wait for people to develop. So whilst I champion the fact that there is a period of time, I don't want to advocate that this is the only period of time. What I've noticed in my travels, being at different festivals from all over, from Europe to Central America, to LA, to the East Coast, to the West Coast, is that people develop fringe events around the things that's happening. So that is just like how you say, like a hot center, so we can be around in the fringe and make our own events happen. Don't limit it to just the promoters or just the DJs to bring in artists. Let's make St. Lucian music something that's enjoyed throughout the year.
Showin Dupes Bryce is scheduled to perform at the 2019 Roots and Soul Festival, which is slated for the 23rd to the 25th of August. Carnival 2019 is right on track and is looking good to go. That is according to Minister with responsibility for culture, Fortuna Belrose. She says Carnival has grown, and this is due to the government of St. Lucia investing more in the event. Belrose said her ministry is making a concerted effort to pay close attention to every aspect of Carnival so that it can be executed to the greatest standard.
We, of course, at the start of our carnival season, in fact, we launched last Saturday, and of course, the launch was as expected in terms of people's participation and coming and attending the event. Always there is the post-mortem, of course, that reveals the nuts and bolts that we still need to fine-tune and get right. And of course, that's what our agency does. The event company of St. Lucia, the Cultural Development Foundation, the Carnival Bands Association, and all the other stakeholders, of course, continuing to meet regularly to fine-tune and ensure that the products we deliver this carnival would be phenomenal. Last year we had a great time with our carnival. Of course, this year we expect an even better delivery because we do have many more participants, and we have, of course, 18 bands registered to participate in this year's event.
The minister says as opposed to placing most of the focus on the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival, there is a real drive to bring out the true essence of St. Lucia through its carnival experience.
In the past, the amounts for carnival, carnival was not really on the forerunner. You know, jazz was on the forerunner. But I think in our administration, what we are showing is that it's important for us to understand that we need to celebrate us and our people in a very big way. And I think the government has invested in that way in our carnival. So we're seeing the $3 million we pumped in last year. We're continuing to give that this year for the carnival. And of course, we're also looking forward to our Journée Creole, where we have pumped in the $600,000 to ensure that we deliver quality for the people of St. Lucia.
The minister said one of the areas duly invested in is security.
The security of our nation is being enhanced with our CCTV cameras across the country, at least in the northern part of the country and in the city. And of course, we also have the strength of our police. And of course, we use the pulse of our police really to gauge our events and of course take the intelligence from them with respect to the events that we're doing. So obviously we'll be working with them to deliver the carnival. In terms of the convenience and the convenience and the spectator services, we will be improving some of that in terms of more toilet facilities, sitting facilities for our patrons along the route. And of course generally working with the bands to ensure that they too have more latitude, you know, to operate insofar as ensuring that they get better subventions.
Belrose said her ministry is happy with the direction and progress of the planned events for Carnival 2019. This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick break.